All right, team, we are back with the Ask Maddie show. We haven't seen you guys in a whole week now, and last Thursday, the market really started getting going there, didn't it? All our crypto started popping, portfolio rose a lot, Bitcoin rose a lot. And so now we're here to check back in, talk about some of the cryptos we care about. Some of the things you guys are asking today is about XRP, a lot about XRP today, actually. And some about the minor cryptos we talk about sometimes, maybe Filecoin. One of you guys wants to look at Arweave. So we'll discuss those things today, but I think today's focus will be on XRP. Is it a worthy buy? Are you gonna give me everything I need so that I can go out and buy it? Am I gonna feel comfortable buying it? You guys come to us for comfort sometimes when we're trying to tell you guys what you should and probably should not do. So you could take it with a grain of salt. You can buy whatever you want. No one's stopping here. Maddie's not gonna show up your doorstep and say, hey, you bought XRP at a bad risk to reward ratio. Like, we're not doing that. So you could do whatever you want. You don't have to come. Maddie's not your daddy and you gotta go, hey dad, can I buy XRP today? Like, do whatever you want. Matt, before we get into the show though, I think it's important the team knows what's happening at Crypto Charged.
Yeah, guys, we're heating up over at Crypto Charge. Community is nice and active right now as the markets have been quite hot. I'm sure as you guys have noticed as of late. We do updates 5 days a week over there, Monday through Friday. Tuesday is an update from my partner Dan, who does a big macro update for you guys. So if you guys feel like you're with friends and family and you wish you had a little bit more of that knowledge when it comes to inflation and interest rates and all that different stuff, it's a great opportunity for that. We do the charts Monday through Friday. We have educational material, coin library, the Discord community, and that all comes at $49 a month. Plus a 30-day free trial with code YouTube. So hope to see you guys there checking it out.
Absolutely, Matt. All right, let's get into some of the questions, comments, and hot takes for today. Let's start out with Benny here saying, I bet you didn't know XRP is hit 6.5 million holders today.
So you guys can actually check these stats on XRP scan. So every native blockchain has its own scanner where you can pop in transaction IDs or wallet addresses. And because it's a public blockchain, you'll be able to see all the information there, right? And it's a very interesting thing too, being able to see someone staking rewards, what they've done in and out with their transactions. But if you look on XRP scan, it shows that there are 6,468,000 active accounts. Now, let's be very clear that active accounts doesn't equal number of holders. Why? Because I have probably 10 plus XRP accounts between my multiple cold storage devices, my Zaman wallet, multiple Zaman wallets, my exchange wallets, right? So technically those number of accounts don't equal number of holders. So just remember that, guys. But yeah, it's a lot of growth. Again, you can also see other stats here, including circulating supply. You guys can also see out of some of the exchanges here, and you can see Ripple, the escrowed amount in here compared to what's available liquid, as well as some of the other top exchanges, what they're holding on there. So you guys can kind of start to do some of the math of like what's actually available out there that's going to be potentially put on market versus what's held in exchange for liquidity and what's held in escrow. So yeah, it is exciting to see the growth of total number of XRP accounts. But remember, anyone can spin up an XRP account, and hold just a 2 or 3 XRP in there, and that doesn't qualify as a separate holder.
Sarah says, do you think America will become cashless like Dubai?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you guys do any sort of anything, right? You've been to a baseball game, you've been to a festival, you've been to a show, like 9 out of 10 times you're starting to see we're a cashless venue. And if you guys have ever worked a retail job where you take cash and you make change for people, like it's a process that creates a lot of slippage, and it's a very time consuming element. So like even when I was a young person, I did lots of retail jobs, but I also worked at Sam's Club for a little while. And we took a lot of cash in because you had vendors come in. Like at one point, on a weekend, I'd have $20,000, $15,000 in cash in my drawer, and they'd make you go fill it out. But it was a very intensive process where they would have the scales in the back. You'd have to weigh out your money multiple times, change the denomination. If it didn't come out right, you had to do it again and again. And there was a certain amount of slippage. And then the accounting people had to, double check your work and make sure that was all good. That's a ton of liability and time and expense that goes into this manual process. When you have digital payouts, there's no mistakes, right? There's no mistakes. There's no accounting to be done. It's just tap to pay. And that's really, again, the future of what I'm seeing here. So again, integrating crypto onto those railways, whether it's paying directly with stables or paying, whatever USD or another denomination over an existing railway, I think that's not very far away because we are already seeing that massive transition from cash into cashless. I know some people are like, well, they're tracking everything. Well, they already were. You pay most of your bills, you pay most of your stuff via card, ACH transfer, whatever. This is us just, ripping the Band-Aid off, being like, all right, just do digital, tap to pay, whatever. I think it is absolutely the future.
Great point there, Matt. Did want to say something about this because you have to remember the leading generations right now is still the oldest is the silent generation and the baby boomers right now. I mean, they have to die out for us to continue this forward, all right? They can't deal with this new cashless system. For example, my grandmother called me the other day and, when something goes wrong, she calls the bank. When a scammer hits her up via email, text, call, she calls the bank. And I told her, I'm like, Grandma, if they're telling you they charged you money or that they took money out of your account, what should you do? And she's like, call the bank. I'm like, no, don't call the bank. Just go to your Bank of America account and look if they took the money out. So we still have that generation that's still living today, that's still so far from removed from tap to pay. I've tried very hard, Grandma and Grandpa, but they just won't do it. They just won't do it, Matt. And so this generation has to die out for us to progress forward. And the same thing, this is why you see young people, my generation, Gen Z, tackling crypto right now. When you hear someone of my generation and they're not looking at crypto or don't know a little bit about crypto, it's kind of like, are you even paying attention right now? So, some of the people have to die out. They're stuck in their old ways for new ways to progress, for new technology to emerge. Matthew says, need an update on XRP stat.
Stat, give me 50 cc's of an XRP update. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart here, guys. We've had some decent progress over the last few days here, mostly moving average wise, but also for kind of identifying the ranging here. I really want you guys to take a good hard look actually just at the impulses that led us to the range that we're in here, because XRP ranged, 50 cents, 60 cents, 30 cents, for years, right? And there was just so much frustration and irritation, and it's never going to happen. And $3 is if we're lucky, $2 if we're lucky. And you look from that 50-cent area, and I actually know somebody that was very close to their program that sold 2 weeks before this happened. Yeah, it was awful. You guys can see that it took only 73 days to see almost a 600% move in price. And understand that this truly is the nature of the crypto markets as a whole. Consolidation, accumulation, range, and then the impulses. And a lot of you guys think that you're going to be able to catch this move perfectly, but the reality is you're leaving a lot on the table by trying to capture these last sets of moves, and you're cutting your reward in half, thirds, quarters by not just buying the cumulative ranges. Now, let's take a look at where we are currently. And yes, it's been a very sloppy sideways ranging here. We have a clean bottom of accumulation here, though. And then we also have a top of accumulation. Then we've got our pivot zone here, right? And this should be something that you guys should be able to do on a regular basis if you guys even have a basic trading view account. When you're looking at a range, top range, bottom range, pivot zone, those should be the first three things that you put on your chart. And then if you want to add a whole bunch of other shit in, great. But this should be your go-to staple every single time if this seems difficult to you. Come check out CryptoCharge.com. We have tutorials on how to properly plot your support and resistance to make you guys excellent at identifying areas of interest and then not having to worry about what the best price is to get in. Now, when we look at XRP, again, because we've had such a large imbalance that got created here, meaning that we didn't even come to test this $1.34 region where we had this big double top in 21. We didn't come and test this 74-cent ceiling where we really banged our heads against the ceiling for a year and some change here. I still think that XRP is very, very expensive. You had H-bar rebalance, Algorand rebalance, Cardano rebalance. You had all the other majors out there, altcoin wise, do their rebalance move, and XRP didn't do it. Yeah, and it does suck for those of you that didn't maybe get in at these, cumulative prices sub 70 cents, because the XRP is a big deal now. You got all this regulatory clarity. Everyone's all hyped up on XRP when literally just a year and a half ago, everyone was shit on XRP and telling you that you bought the stupid shit coin that was centralized and now you're paying the price for it. And now I still think it's far too expensive. I mean, you look at where we are in position to the previous high, right? You are looking at us being 335 being the previous high. Where are we from that 2018 high? We are only 28% from the previous high. And people are asking me, Matt, well, you believe in XRP so much. How could you just tell me it's not a good time to buy? Because it's not. You didn't get the pullback in here. You look at the structural opportunity here from Fibonacci. Let's actually get rid of the support and resistance lines in here. You look at the opportunity that's in here now. And, you're looking at, let's say, even $8 to $13, which I know a lot of people are looking at those areas too. We obviously have some higher targets that are potential blow-offs. But you look at even like the $8 mark from here, it's about a 250% move to the 13 is just over a 4x opportunity, which again, I know is still a great, overall reward to get compared to what you get in the stock market. But when you put this up against other opportunities out there in the altcoin market, and not just the small caps that we like, right? Even if you take Algorand from current market price to the 1.618, you're getting a massively larger reward than XRP right now. So yeah, you did miss it, and it's a bummer for a lot of you guys that you missed it. But let this be a lesson for you guys next time around when you know that you hold a high quality asset, or you know it's a high quality asset, and the price is asymmetrically beat up. Just get after it, because what we're looking at now here, especially on the daily, is really just kind of like top of range manipulation. And I wouldn't say that like this is a great time at all. Again, I would need to see at least like $1.30, $1.36 in order to say like, okay, this makes some sort of sense. Because from $1.36, right, let's call this the 382 in here, to the 1.618. Now you're getting a 300% reward to there. To the 2.618, we're getting like a little over a 5x. And again, let's measure just all the way to that $13 target. Now we're looking closer to a 9x opportunity from $1.36. Most likely not going to get this rebalancing move unless we get some sort of huge market, wumbo jumbo that comes along and really messes things up. But that is the only area where I'm like, okay, now the risk reward makes sense, and we're putting ourselves in a safe spot. So right now, just range bound, we're at top of range, and there's absolutely nothing that I would do on the buy side right now. I think it's very foolish.
Jose says, great show as always, gents. Given you seem to like Filecoin, what's your thoughts on Arweave? Which coin would give a better return from current price?
Yeah, so one of the things that we can take a look at here is coin market cap. So let's compare just market caps really quickly here, because that's something that we always want to consider. So we'll look at Filecoin first. We've got a $2.1 billion market cap. Let's look at circulating supply just so we can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. So total supply is 1.95 billion. Circulating right now is 667 million. So again, we're getting roughly a $2 billion market cap out of this. Arweave, ticker AR, is 547 million. So technically a smaller market cap, and you have a total max supply of 66 million, and 65 is circulating. So you actually have pretty much the entire circulating supply out there for Arweave right now, and probably about a quarter of the market cap. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a chart basis. And I always want you guys to see how easy it is to just check market cap. You should never be wondering what market cap is. But let's look at Arweave. And let's look at it on the crypto chart here. And let's take a look at what's going on here structure-wise. So you guys can see this is already dressed up, and that's because we have team members on our Technical Tune-Up Friday segment that request things that we don't necessarily hold in our portfolios, but we cover it for you guys. When you look at some of the opportunity here on Arweave, you had a really big run here in 2021. Even from the 2020 low that was set in here, there's roughly a 5,000% reward to the upside. In 2023, we bottomed out here. We had a nice 1,100% run up into that 50% fib. And then we're back here at the lows, right? We're kind of seeing a little bit of a push over those MAs. Now, here's one of the things we're going to point to here. One of the things I always look at is imbalances. So if you have a breakdown in price, so let's get rid of this here. When you have a breakdown in price, like you saw over here, this breakdown here, so you had a support level, and it was broken with no buying opportunities. It took us a very long time. We've created an accumulative bottom, but you cleaned that out here. You took care of this, and there's no more imbalance left behind here on the Arweave chart. So yes, we can go ahead and take our Fibonacci in here. We can go from swing high, swing low. We can say, okay, that's the top, that's the bottom there. We're just deeply below the 236. That's an automatic DCA opportunity. And the 1.618 gives us roughly a 16x opportunity up to that $141 mark. Now we do know that it takes less money to make it happen because this is a smaller market cap than Filecoin. All the way to the 4.236 would be like a 44x opportunity. However, let's take a look at the Filecoin chart, and let me show you structurally what is the difference, fundamental difference here between the Arweave chart and the Filecoin chart, okay? Let's come out to the 3-day just so we can see everything here. So on the Arweave chart, we had similar crazy run up from 2020, right? You get a huge move up in there. You get this big support level in here. You get the breakdown. This is the key difference here. There was no cleaning out of this imbalance that happened here on Filecoin, even towards this $40 mark. So I measure here on Filecoin from current market, which is beating on the same lows that the Arweave is, right? Pretty much right there at the lows, maybe even a little bit further down than Arweave is. And you get roughly a 12x just to clean out that imbalance. So no new all-time high, and you're getting roughly a 12x up there on Filecoin, up in that level. I would say there's even some imbalance here towards $100 here on Filecoin, which is roughly a 28x opportunity. We bring our Fibonacci into this same situation that we just did over on the Arweave chart. So let me clean this back up. There we go. Let's bring this to the top here. Cool. And if we were to see the 1.618 filled out here on Filecoin, it is roughly a 12,000% move up to those levels. Now, again, I'm encouraging you guys, when you have these imbalances that are out there, it's definitely good to capitalize on those. But this is why I've leaned into the Filecoin opportunity, even though they both attack the similar vertical of decentralized file storage, because that imbalance is so blatantly there on Filecoin. And I believe that has kind of like that magnet opportunity to be cleaned out.
Don says, even with XRP expensive, I still want to buy. Pharma will use it in Florida, and I don't want to miss out. If it goes to $15, is it worth it? So last question of the day here, is it worth it for me to ape?
You know what you want to do, man. I can't tell you what to do here, right? I kind of made the case for it being too expensive. I showed you the area of interest right around $1.30. That would be kind of like the most shallow area where I'd be like, okay, this kind of makes sense risk to reward, because now we're looking at like a 6 to 9x up to the upside towards those targets. Maybe to 21 gives you over that 10x opportunity. But we're talking about almost you're buying the previous all-time high, right? This is kind of the equivalent, even though it's still better risk to reward, of looking at Bitcoin right now at $104,000 and being like, well, it could go to 240. Yeah, it could, right? Like, and $15, $18, I don't know, right? Like, who knows exactly where we're going to stop? We know what our scale up plan is, but it's just not the same risk to reward. So if you're that person, you're like, I don't care, I'm just going to hold XRP forever because I think there's going to be this huge integration and the whole decoupling narrative and whatever. But I have yet to see that come to fruition for any true digital asset out there. None of them have been price agnostic to the risk on environment, to geopolitical events, to everything that happens out there. So I know that when the markets do turn back over, we are going to get better prices than we have now to reaccumulate, right? So XRP will be on my hit list next cycle to reaccumulate and pick up some more. But I also know there might be other competitors. There might be other projects, new narratives that I want to get involved with. And I don't want to be tied up on this one trade idea because I believe that, all of these fundamental things are going to happen. You look at what people did with the Donald Trump narrative, and they thought, I got to get all my money in before this happens. And then, he had all the tariffs and undid all the stuff that you thought was going to happen in that short period of time. Or people who want to get all their money before ISO 20022 narrative, gets flipped on, and I got to be in before this, right? And that narrative keeps getting kicked down the road in relation to integration. So I wouldn't try to plan this not great risk to reward based on a narrative, whether it's attacking a financial sector you work in or the pharma sector or whatever it is. Yes, of course, a lot of these industries will utilize multiple digital assets for railways, but I wouldn't think that this narrative of like pharma going all XRP for every payment is going to happen and then rocket it to $15 and you're pissed because you didn't buy it at almost $3. So again, everyone has different risk to reward, things that make sense for them, risk appetite, but you missed the good entry. So, I think there's better opportunities out there if you're looking for the payment plays. Algorand is still a great price. But yeah, it's completely up to you. Like you said at the top, Gavin, I'm not your dad. I'm not here to tell you guys what to do. I just give you guys the data and hopefully you guys make smart, actionable decisions based on that data.
Great points there, Matt. There's a saying that's out there. It's like trade your assets, but you're stuck with your wife. Don't marry your assets. There's only like one obligation, which is like your marriage, your contract you set up with your wife. And that is the only type of thing you should be married to. You shouldn't really be married to your assets. Just picking back off of what Matt said there, because honestly, team, I think this approach of approaching the cycle, the bull run, looking to sell most of your assets, is probably the most sound approach you can get in crypto market right now. Still a young market. If you talk to some of the big players like a Kevin O'Leary or some of the Mark Cubans of the world, they'll say buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold, and then you sell whenever, right? They're not talking about a time when you're going to go sell your assets, but we are here doing the heavy lifting. This is what this show is for. A lot of what you got in the show is talking about when you should have been buying XRP. You didn't buy XRP right now? Great. Look at another asset, look at Algorand, and come back in next bear market and invest heavily into XRP when you get that opportunity, when the risk to reward ratio makes a lot more sense. Not when we're in a bullish period. XRP is near its new all-time high. Buy Bitcoin then. If we're just going to buy assets that are about to hit new all-time highs, why don't we just do that then? We don't want to do that. All right, team. And so that is a good way to cap off the show today. Matt, anything to leave the team with because we'll be back with them on Monday and Wednesday of next week.
We will not be back with you guys on Monday.
Oh, we're not?
No, I'll be at EDC through this weekend. I'll come back on Monday, but we will be with you guys Wednesday for Ask Matty. So I'm sorry that we're missing another Monday with you guys, but we will be back on Wednesday and be back on track after that. But yeah, guys, I really would encourage you guys to go check out our program. We really give you guys a lot of those insights. A lot of the questions you guys have for our Ask Matty show, they really do get answered pretty frequently on our Monday through Friday show in the Discord. It's really incredible value. And again, it comes with that 30-day free trial with code YouTube. So you guys get a whole month of checking out our updates, getting to see real firsthand what people are doing in our group, what kind of success they've had. And I encourage you guys just to kind of also see like some of our members that have been with us for 3+ years, what their averages look like, what their bags look like now, because they were consistent.
Maddie, so we are doing no after hours next week, but on the 26th, we will do an after hours. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I don't know why it's not on my calendar. So, team, you heard it from Maddie there first. That's what we're doing here. So, if you got something valuable here today, make sure you leave a like and share this with someone that might need this information. I know we post the clips a lot on Twitter and Instagram and wherever else so that you guys can share those and get that information out there, because I feel like that's valuable information that's not really talked about. When I go on X and I hear a person talking about the XRP price chart, they're talking about their moon targets and talking about how it's always a good time to buy XRP. We obviously don't take that stance here. So send them the clip we post on socials and let them know, hey, maybe there's better risk to reward ratios out there, like the Falcoid chart. That is a crazy freaking chart, Matt. And so that might not be a bad buy right now, or like, the Algorand chart in opposition to XRP right now. So team, think about it that way, but we will be with you guys next week. Bye.